Okay, so this is a tutorial guide for an Exodia FTK deck. Quick disclaimer before I get into the deck recipe. This is not my original deck. It was originally made by a guy named Charlie Chaspin, and his channel, to make a long story short, his channel just disappeared off the face of the earth one day. I have no clue what happened to it. All of his videos are gone. His channel's gone. The last I could find of his channel, it was basically I found a video that he was in as part of a collaboration, and when I tried going to his channel, it redirected me to some like Pokemon live streaming channel. And anyways, his channel's gone. All of his videos are gone. So all of the deck recipes, deck builds they made are just gone. All of the tutorials are gone. And I have a couple of the deck recipes that he made saved onto this game. Basically, I just want to preserve the knowledge of these deck profiles in case someone might want to use these decks for themselves. So, and I meant to make this video a long time ago, but around the time I was intending on making this video, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel came out, and then I just became obsessed with that game and kind of forgot about Link Evolution. So now I'm back at it again at Link Evolution, since this game doesn't have microtransactions. But yeah, and so that's the two reasons I'm making this video. Also, I have to re-record this because the game audio and my microphone audio were mixed into one recording, and the game audio was just way louder than my audio, so now I have to re-record this, which is a little bit annoying, but you know, what can you do? But yeah, with that being said, let's get into the deck profile. So first up was just the 5 pieces of Exodia. That's pretty self-explanatory. You only need one of each piece. Next up is 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Ray. Basically, to make a long story short, this monster will be used as material to banish, so you can keep drawing cards. You don't normal summon this monster. In fact, the only monster you normal summon is this guy, Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. Basically, if you normal summon this guy, you can search out a spellbook spell from your deck to your hand, and that is the only purpose for normal summoning this guy. He is the only monster in this entire deck that you even bother normal summoning. Next card is Allure of Darkness. If you play this card, you have to banish one of your dark monsters, and then you can draw 2 more cards from your deck to your hand. Be very careful when using this deck. Do not use the Allure of Darkness if you have any of your Exodia pieces in your hand. If you have an Exodia piece in your hand, but not Sky Striker Ace Ray, because if that happens, then you'll have to banish one of your Exodia pieces, and then you're screwed. You can't win the duel. So only play this if you have only play Allure of Darkness if you have Sky Striker Ray, because the other thing that could happen too is if you don't have a dark monster, then you just have to get rid of your entire hand. Next up is Chicken Game. It's a field spell. Once per turn, pay 1,000 life points, and you can activate one of 3 effects. Draw a card, which is draw a card, destroy this card, or give your opponent 1,000 life points. Obviously, for the purposes of this deck, you'll choose draw a card. Next up is Graceful Charity. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2. If you use this card, I would suggest discarding 2 draw 1 spells. Next is Into the Void. If you have 3 or more cards, you can draw 1 card, but the catch is that at the end of your turn you have to discard your entire hand. But obviously, with the purposes of this deck, you're going to be drawing out all 5 pieces of Exodia and then winning via that way, so you'll win before your turn is even over. Next up is Magic Mallet. Shuffle any number of cards from your hand into the deck and then draw the same number of cards. This is basically, this card is just in case you have a really bad hand and can't do anything with the hand you have. You can use this to shuffle to bring all those cards back into your hand, and then redraw a new fresh set of cards so that you have a hand that you can use. Next up is One Day of Peace. Each player draws a card, and then neither player takes damage until the end of the opponent's next turn. One Day of Peace. So, again, this is just a means to draw a card. And again, it does not matter if your opponent gets to draw an extra card because, again, your opponent won't have a chance to do anything. Next up is Painful Choice. Select 5 cards from your deck. Show them to your opponent. Your opponent selects 1 card among them. Add that card to your hand and discard the remaining cards to the graveyard. Now, the way this works against the AI is really interesting. There's a way to use this card to exploit the AI in a couple different ways. If you choose one of the Exodia pieces and then you choose 4 spell cards, the AI will always give you the Exodia piece. I don't know why, but it like, and Charlie Chaspin didn't know either, but it might be because the AI just sees the Exodia piece as a really weak monster, and so it'll just give you the Exodia piece by default. But regardless, knowing this exploit, you'll be able to draw in an extra piece of Exodia. Or alternatively, you can use this to draw out if you choose Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage, and then choose specifically 4 draw 1 spells, except for Chicken Game, because Chicken Game it's like 50-50. You'll always get Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage. So I'll just say it again to specify it. If you choose Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage, and then 4 draw 1 spells, except Chicken Game, you'll always draw Engage, and I'll explain what this spell does in a sec. Next up is Pot of Greed. No one knows what that does. Next up is Sky Striker Mecha Hornet Drones. So this is a quick play spell which will essentially special summon a token to the field. What you would use this card for? You would use Engage to search out Hornet Drones, and then you would use Hornet Drones to pull out to special summon a token, and then you'd use that token to link summon this card, and then you use this card's effect to bring back Engage. And I know I'm going kind of fast. I'll explain what each card does bit by bit, but that's essentially the combo you use for this card. This spell card, you would special summon a token that would be used as a link material. That's all you gotta know for this card for now. And then once you do that, you don't need this card again for the rest of the duel or your turn. But same thing, since it's an FTK deck. So now in discussion of Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage, what this card does is, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can add 1 Sky Striker card from your deck to your hand, except for this card, Engage. And then if there's 3 or more spells in the graveyard, you can draw 1 card. Very, very useful card in this deck. So there's a couple different purposes with Engage. Engage you would use to, as I said, to search out Hornet's Drones, use her effect to special summon the token, and then you get it, and then you'd use the token to link summon this monster. And then using Sky Striker Ace's effect, and then bring Engage back to your hand. You would then use Engage to search out Sky Striker Ace Ray, since this card will be used as banished material to draw more cards for Allure of Darkness. Next up is Spellbook of Knowledge. Basically, with this card you can send either a spellcast monster or a spellcast spell to the graveyard, and then when you do that you can draw 2 cards. And then next is Spellbook of Secrets. Add 1 Spellbook card from your deck to your hand, except Spellbook of Secrets, and you can only activate once per turn. So the 3 Spellbook cards, Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, Spellbook of Secrets, and Spellbook of Knowledge, you use these, you can combo off these cards interchangeably. So, for example, let's say you draw, Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, but neither of the cards. You can use this card to then search out Spellbook of Secrets, use this card to search out Spellbook of Knowledge, and then you can play this card to discard, Magician of Prophecy, and then to draw 2 more cards. Or alternatively, let's say you have this card in your hand, then you can use this card to search for Magician of Prophecy, normal summon, use its effect to search for Spellbook of Knowledge, then play this card, and then sacrifice this card to draw 2 more cards. Or if you have Spellbook of Secrets and a Magician of Prophecy in your hand, then it's like you can do either one, either play Spellbook of Secrets or play normal summon Magician of Prophecy, and then you can search out for Spellbook of Knowledge, and then sacrifice the other card, whatever card you don't use. Like if you play Spellbook of Secrets, search this card out, and then if this card's in your hand, you can just discard it, and you don't even have to normal summon it. But yeah, that's the gist of that's how the 3 Spellbook cards work in this deck as far as comboing the cards off. And for the last but not least, you have Upstart Goblin, which you draw a card and then your opponent gains 1,000 life points. Which, again, I might sound like a broken record, but once you have it doesn't matter if your opponent gets extra life points or cards or whatnot, because your opponent will die by Exodia before your turn is over. So last but not least, we'll go over the Link monsters. The only useful out of the 3 of these, in my opinion, is Kagari, or at least it's the one you'd use the most. Basically, when she's you link summon her by using the token through Hornet Drones, and then when you link summon Kagari, you use her effect to bring back a Sky Striker Ace spell from the graveyard back to your hand. And if you have both Sky Striker Mecha, Hornet Drones, and Engage in your graveyard, I would bring Engage back to your hand so that you can use her to then search for Sky Striker Ace Ray, and bring her into your hand. These other 2 cards, I'm not entirely sure what you'd use them for, because they can search cards from your deck to your hand. Well, Hayate technically sends a card from your deck to your graveyard, but Shizuku's effect doesn't even come to play until the end phase, and Sky Striker Ace Hayate is meant for attacking, so this would have to be on a second turn, and then again it sends it to a graveyard, so you would need a spell card like Hornet Drones that can like Hornet Drones, or maybe even Kagari, or just use Hayate to link summon Kagari, and then and then search from the graveyard a Sky Striker Ace spell, and then bring that back to your hand. So I'm sorry if that sounded a little bit confusing, but that's essentially the gist of like how the whole deck works. But yeah, that's essentially the deck profile. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna hop onto a duel so you guys can see how it works. So ideally with this deck, you want to go first, so your opponent doesn't have a chance to do anything when it's their turn. Also, just as a general rule of thumb with this deck, you want to use your search spells before your draw spells, because if you use a draw spell and you end up drawing a card that can only be searched out with another card that you have in your hand, then that card might end up being useless. So just keep that in mind. But it looks like we only have since we only have draw spells in our hand right now, we'll just use some draw spells. So we'll use Graceful Charity. We'll get rid of 2 draw spells. Next, now we'll use Sky Strike and Mobilize Engage since that's a searching spell. I'll draw out Hornet. Oh yeah, and then I can draw from my deck since I have three spells in my graveyard now. Activate the effect of the card. We'll play Hornet Drones, and then play the token. Then we'll use this to link summon Kagari. Then we will use Kagari's effect to bring Engage. To bring Engage back to our hand. Then we'll use her effect again, but this time to search out the Ray. Then we'll draw from our deck again. So now since we only have draw spells, we'll just keep drawing cards. We'll use. And we got the last Engage. We got another Engage, so now we'll draw the last Ray. And from this point on, Engage is pretty much useless because now we have all 3 Ray cards in our hands. So we'll use Allure of Darkness, and then get rid of and banish one of the Ray cards. And then obviously be careful when you use Allure of Darkness because you only use that if you have Ray because I think I just discarded one of the Ray cards by accident. Only use Allure of Darkness when you have a Ray monster in your hand. Otherwise, you'll have to either just banish an Exodia piece or get rid of your whole hand, which that would be no good. So now we will use Painful Choice, and here I can actually show you the exploit I was talking about. So choose an Exodia piece, then 3 spell cards, and it'll give you, and it'll just automatically give you the piece of Exodia. And by doing that, also we're thinning out our deck, so it's more likely we'll draw into the Exodia piece. So now we'll use Allure of Darkness to banish Ray. And now and then since we just have some draw spells, we'll use those to keep searching. We'll use Spellbook of Secrets to search out Magician of Prophecy. Then we'll use, and at this point it's the only monster you would normal summon, but since we already have Spellbook of Knowledge in our hand, we'll just use that to discard Magician of Prophecy. We'll use Pot of Greed to draw 2 more cards. At least that's what I think it does. Then we'll use Pot of Greed one more time. And then we'll finish it off by using Graceful Charity. So yeah, like I said, and to demonstrate this deck is designed to basically draw through your entire deck until you just have the 5 pieces of Exodia in your hand. And in this case, that's quite literally what happened. I had to draw through literally my entire deck until I just had the 5 pieces of Exodia. And in some games, when you have this, when you're playing with this deck, that's just how it goes. I'll do a couple more duels just so you guys can get a better demonstration of the different ways on how this deck could work. So obviously go first if you can. Otherwise, I guess you can just reset the match until you're able to go first. So here, generally it's not the best outcome to draw an Exodia piece because you really can't do anything with it. It's just a piece you would use to inevitably win the game. We only have never mind. Normal summon this, and again, this is the only monster that you would normal summon in this whole game, in this whole deck, and it's again so that you can search out your other two spellbook spells. Then we will use Spellbook of Knowledge to get rid of him, draw 2 more cards, and then we'll just keep drawing cards at this point, since all we have is some draw spells. Pot of Greed. And then now we'll use Upstart Goblin now. And then our opponent's going to get another 1,000 life points. And now here we'll actually use Magic Mallet, because really there's no reason to have the Exodia pieces this early on into the match. And fuck it, I don't really like this card. So now hopefully we'll get something better, and yes, we did get something much more preferable. So we'll use Painful Choice so we can draw out Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage. And this is the other thing I wanted to show off with this deck too, is if you can also draw out Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage the same way you can draw out an Exodia piece. Just choose Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage, and then choose 4 draw 1 spells, except Chicken Game, because it might give you Chicken Game, and the AI will always give you the spell card Engage. So now we'll use Engage to draw. Fuck it. We'll use this card just to thin out the deck. Draw a card, and then we'll play this card, Hornet Drones, so that we can bring out the token, and then we'll link some of Kagari. Link summon her. Then we'll use her effect to bring Engage back into our hand, and then we'll use it. Then we'll use it one more time to draw out the last ray. And then after that, we'll just keep drawing until we either get a search card or hopefully the last 5 pieces of Exodia. So now we'll use Allure of Darkness, and again, I sound like a broken record, but be careful when using that card. Only play it if there's a ray monster in your hand. So use Allure of Darkness again, banish another ray. And since... Oh wait, never mind, we only have 3 Exodia pieces. We'll use Painful Choice again but this time to bring out an Exodia piece. I guess Graceful Charity. And just keep drawing until eventually you have all 5. Till you have all 5 pieces of Exodia, and then we'll use Chicken Game. Use its effect to draw a card, and then we have the last piece of Exodia. So again, as it was just demonstrated, and it's kind of weird, it happened twice in a row. The whole gimmick of this deck is you just keep searching and drawing through cards until you just have the Exodia pieces in your hand, and sometimes you might have to draw literally every single card in your deck until you get to the last Exodia piece, because the last Exodia piece, it might be at the very bottom of the deck, and if that's the case, then it is what it is. We'll do one more duel just to show off the deck. Hopefully we can get a slightly different outcome this time, because it's been kind of samey the last couple times. This is kind of annoying. So we'll use Chicken Game, and then we'll use Chicken Game to draw out a card. and we'll just keep drawing out cards until we get to Engage. Then we'll use Engage's ability, and then we'll chain that to Hornetrons. Since we can use the Link monster. We can use the spell. We can use Hornetrons to bring out the token, and then use the token as material to Link summon Kagari. Then we can use Kagari's ability to bring back Engage. And then we can use Engage a second time. And this is actually a really good hand, really good combo, because we were able to use Kagari once, to use Engage once to bring out one ray, and then we can use that same card to bring out another ray. So now we'll just keep searching through spells. And like I said, it's best to just get rid of a couple draw one spells. Oof, and I do not have another draw one spell. Magnet Mallet might be useful, but then again, fuck it, just get rid of Magnet Mallet. We'll use Allure of Darkness, and then use Ray as a sacrifice to banish. And like I said, only use Allure of Darkness when you've got a Ray in your hand. I know I probably sound like a broken record, but I probably sound like a broken record just from saying broken record. So we still have another Ray in our deck, so we'll search out Engage. Then we'll use this to draw out the last Ray. Then we can draw an extra card from the deck, and now we can use Painful Choice, but this time to draw out the pieces of Exodia. Yeah. Nope. No! Oh, fuck, I did not want to select that card.
It was a misinput, calm down! You calm the fuck down!
Well, the combo's not going to work for the spellbook cards now, but you generally want to choose like 4 draw 1 spells for Exodia. Discard from your hand. Oh, right. We don't really need Painful Choice anymore. Oh, well, maybe we could have used it, but whatever. Alright, so we'll use Spellbook of Knowledge to get rid of this, draw 2 more cards, and then boom, we got all 5 pieces of Exodia. So it didn't work out quite how I expected. There was a misinput, and I did put one of my key search cards into the graveyard by accident, but we still won it. It still worked out pretty well, but as I've said, and I think I've demonstrated it pretty well by now, but the whole concept of the deck, you keep searching through your cards, card after card, until you eventually have all 5 pieces of Exodia. And again, it's really important to keep in mind the exploits for this game, especially when it comes to Painful Choice, because if you know how to exploit the AI with Painful Choice by choosing 1 Exodia piece and 4 spell cards, or choosing Engage and 4 draw 1 spells, except for Chicken Game, then you'll win basically every single time, or mostly of every single time. You know, there might be on occasion where you just draw a bad hand, but 9 times out of 10 you should be winning games with this deck. And so yeah, that's the whole video. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. If it sounds useful to you and you'd want to build this deck for yourself, like, subscribe. I may not make too many tutorials like this. Again, tutorials aren't really my thing. I might make one more tutorial because I do have another deck recipe from Charlie Chapman saved on this game. So yeah, and that's the whole video. That's the whole deck in a nutshell. I hope y'all enjoyed. Y'all take care. Bye bye.